Here we are in the QBO gym, and this is where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do an entire month's worth of these all on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's go ahead and get started with today's exercise, which is coming from our July Year 1 cardio section. At the top here is an animated video to give you an understanding of what you, the bookkeeper, will be doing for your client, Craig, this month. Below that is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to the video up above. Below that are all of the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here is an optional area where after you have gone through all of the exercises and completed them in this section, you will unlock some sample marketing posts that you can use on your LinkedIn to share with everyone what you have learned so far. Let's dive into today's exercise though, and we're going to today practice handling a bounced check. Go ahead and click on that link to have it pulled up for you. I have it over here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through the scenario. The check that Craig deposited last week from Bill's Windsurf Shop, check number 1053, in the amount of $175 was returned due to insufficient funds. The bank has charged you $25 for this, which Craig says to pass on to Bill, and also to add a $20 handling fee to his new invoice. You will need to record the bounce check and fee as well as invoice Bill's Windsurf Shop to recoup the fee incurred and add the handling fee. This exercise is going to show you how to do all of that. So you will need to be in the same section of the sample company that you did the previous exercises in. If you have not completed those yet, go ahead and click on the link on the top right corner of the screen. That will take you to the first exercise, complete that one, and then come back, do all the ones after it, and then till you come back to this one. They all build on each other, so it's really important to start with that first one. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left side of my screen. This is the last page that I left off of from the previous exercise and where we're going to start. So let's go ahead and begin the exercise. The first thing you need to do is deal with the bank charge. This is a new expense, so you'll need to record it. You'll also want to pass the charge onto Bill so that will have to be included as well. So to create that expense, we're going to click on the plus new button and then select expense. The plus new button is on the top left corner of the screen. Click on that, and then under vendors, go ahead and select expense. Now we can leave the payee field blank or create a vendor for the name of the bank if you choose. I'm just going to leave it blank for the purposes of this exercise. If you were recording just your own bank charge, you would use the category grid and enter bank charges as the account. Since you are going to invoice Bill's Windsurf Shop for reimbursement, however, use the item details grid and create a new product to track it. Without the product, the money from billable expenses goes into a default billable expense income account. Instead, you want it to go directly into the bank charges account as reimbursement. The only way to do this, though, is with a product/service. So we're going to click on the arrow to open the item details grid. I'm actually going to collapse this category details grid since we're not going to need it. So click on the arrow to collapse it and then open up the item details grid by clicking on that arrow. In the product service field on the first line, we're going to type return payment/check fee and then click on the plus add new. So click into that, go ahead and type return payment/check fee. And then you're going to click on this plus add new because we want to add it as a new service. So go ahead and click on service. In the category field right here, we're going to type NSF items and then click plus NSF items. So click into it, go ahead and type NSF items, and then click this plus add new, and this is short for non-sufficient funds. This is good to go, so click on the green save button. And this will just help, this category is just going to help us group all of these product services that we're about to create all in one section. So as I mentioned, later you're going to set up more and this will just keep them all together. So in the sales price rate field, we're going to type $25 since that's what was being charged. This is how much you are going to charge Bill when you send him that new invoice. In the income account field, we're going to select bank charges. And note that even though this is the income account field right here, you're entering the expense account for the bank charges here. So let's click into this. You can either scroll or you can do what I'm going to do, which is just starting to type in bank charges to get that expense account. We need to edit the sales tax field right here, right now, because it's saying that this is taxable and the fee is not. So click on the edit sales tax wording right there. You want to scroll down a little bit. Make sure if you scroll in here, you're just going to scroll through the categories. Make sure you're scrolling down the page itself and then select the button next to non-taxable. We are good here, so let's click on the green done button. And now that has been adjusted here to be non-taxable. Since you are using this item for both an expense / or purchase and income when you charge it back to them, you will have both I sell this product service to my customer as well as I purchase this product service from a vendor checked. This is called a double-sided product and it is only available in some QBO subscription levels. In a real life scenario, if your client did not have this as an available option, you would just create two different products, one for the income and then one for the expense. So in the cost field, we're going to type $25, and this is how much the return check cost Craig. In this scenario, it happens to be the same as what he is going to be charging the customer. So click into that cost field, type 25, and then in the expense account field, we're going to select bank charges. So click that down arrow. You can scroll towards the top and once you find it, go ahead and select it. And this has been set up. So now we can go ahead and click on save and close. So click the green save and close button. And now that new service has been created. We're going to click on the checkbox under billable, so go ahead and do that. And as you notice here, the rate of $25 is showing because that is what we had set up in the service here. So in the customer field, we want to select Bill's Windsurf Shop, so click the down arrow, and then he is the second one that is listed here. Click on his name, and now we can go ahead and click on Save and Close. That's the green button on the bottom right corner. And now that expense for $25 has been saved. Next, you will need to create a new invoice that includes three things. One, passing along the expense incurred, which was that $25. Two, the handling fee, that $20 that Craig would like to charge to Bill. And then number three, the bad check that you received. More on this in a minute. But before you create the new invoice, you need to create the product services for the last two items here. So let's get to that area. We're going to click from the left navigation bar, hover over sales, and then select product services. So here we go as sales, and then hover over that and then select product services. And let's go ahead and create the new ones. We're going to click on the green button here on the top. And then this is a service, so go ahead and click on service. In the name field, we're going to type handling fee, so go ahead and do that. In the category field, we want to use that NSF item so that this is all grouped together. If you click on the down arrow, you will see that it's not too far down on the list. Once you find it, go ahead and click on it. In the description field, we're going to type handling fee for returned payment / check. So this description field is right here. Click into it and then go ahead and type handling fee for returned check, or excuse me, returned payment / check. In the sales price field, we're going to type 20. So click into it, type 20, since that is what he is charging. In the income account field, we want to select other income. So click that down arrow. You can either start scrolling or you can do what I'm going to do, which is just typing in other income. So it comes up from the search list. Now yours should already say non-taxable because we did it on that previous one. In case not, just click on Edit Sales Tax and then select the button next to non-taxable. So this one is all set up. Since we have to create a new one, let's click on the down arrow next to Save and Close and then select Save and New. So click the down arrow, select Save and New, and now we have a new form to fill out here. Next, we're going to create the item for the bad check. Now, this can be a little bit confusing, so let's break it down a little bit more. Think of it this way. One, Craig sent an invoice basically asking Bill to send him a good check for that invoice. Bill sent a check, which was then matched to the invoice when we had received payment for it. However, you realize it was a bad check, not a good check. So the check and the invoice don't actually match at that point. So that receiving payment is no longer valid because the bad check does not match what is actually the invoice because it can't actually be paid. So one thing that needs to happen is that the invoice and the bad check need to then be unmatched. So we'll do this in a future step in the exercise here. When they are unmatched, you will be left with a bad check that isn't matched to anything. So in order to account for the bad check that Craig received, you basically have to create an invoice asking for a bad check. The bad check that you received will then be matched to that other invoice. So although it may seem a little bit strange, you now have to create a service item for the bad check. So in the name field, we're going to type returned payment / check. So click into it, go ahead and type returned payments, / check. In the category field, once again, we're going to select that NSF items. So click the down arrow. It's a couple down, so go ahead and click on it once you find it. In the description field, we're going to enter returned check number. Now, when you create the invoice, you're going to actually enter the number of that bad check. So click into it, type returned check, and then the number symbol. And the reason we do this is because when we create that invoice, this description is going to automatically pull up for us when we select the service. And so it just helps give it a few extra, save you a few extra seconds here that you already have this wording in that description, and then you'll fill out the check number. And you'll see how we do this in a few steps ahead. We're going to leave the sales price rate blank. When you create the invoice, the amount will be the amount of the bad check. And we're leaving this blank here because if he receives over time multiple bad checks, rather than having something as a set amount here, leaving this blank will just mean that you can go ahead and fill it out as you're creating that invoice, rather than having to overwrite whatever we put here as we create it. And you'll see again as we create that invoice what this will look like. So the income account field should be checking. We need to select that and note that this is the account that the original item was deposited into. So click that down arrow, and then if you scroll to the top here, checking is the very first thing that is listed. Once again, non-taxable should already be selected, but again, if not, click on Edit Sales Tax and then go through until you select the button next to non-taxable. So this one has been created. We can go ahead and click on the down arrow next to Save and New and then select Save and Close. Click that down arrow, go ahead and select Save and Close. And now that one has been created and saved for us. Now that you have all of the items set up, it's time to create the additional invoice. Remember, this invoice will include the following: the bank charge expense and reimbursement, the handling fee, so the $25 bank charge, the $20 handling fee, and then request for the bad check. So we're going to click on the plus new button and then select invoice. So click the plus new button on the top left corner of the screen, and then under customers, select invoice. Let's go ahead and fill it out. So in the customer field, click the down arrow and then go ahead and select Bill's name. So Bill's Windsurf Shop. And his information is going to appear for you. And you will notice that as soon as you do that and click on the customer name, you will get this pop-out drawer that appears on the right, which includes that billable expense that we just previously entered and had marked as billable. So we want to add this, click on add. And now it has been moved over here to this invoice. On the second line here, we want to, under product service, select returned payment / check. So click into that box right there. I'm going to go ahead and start typing in returned to have it show up for us. It is this returned payment / check. And as you can see here in the description field, it shows up exactly as we had put it when we set up this account. So it's going to make it a little bit easier for us. We're just going to need to type in the return check number, which is 1053. So click into that 2 times so that you can not have everything highlighted. Type in 1053. And in the amount field, we're going to type $175. Remember, we left this blank when we set up this account. So this is how it's going to appear for us. And so every time that we are doing this, if there's multiple bad checks in the future, and something like this needs to be handled, then this 175, it's going to be different. It may be different every time. So leaving that as 0 helps so that when we are entering it, this 175, we're not having to overwrite it each time. All right, so then on the third line under the product service field, we're going to select handling fee. So click into that box, go ahead and select handling. Or type in handling to find it and then select it once it is found. Now, as a very important note here, generally in these practice exercises, we ask you to save and close an invoice transactions because the sample company cannot actually send an invoice. We expect you to understand that in real life scenario that you would actually click save and send at this point when you are doing invoices. However, in this particular workflow, you do not want to send the invoice at this point. And that's because you still have to unmatch that bad check payment from the previous invoice and then match it to this particular one. So we'll do that in the next section. So this is all filled out for us here. We need to click on the down arrow next to save and send and then select save and close. So click that down arrow and then select save and close. And now that invoice has been saved. At this point, you must unmatch the bad check payment from the original invoice and then apply it to that new invoice. This is done so that the aging continues of the original invoice. To do so, you must find the original payment first, though. So we're still in this product service area. So we need to just click on customers to get to the customer list. If for whatever reason you're navigated away from that, you could also hover over sales and then select customers. It would get you back here to this exact same place. So let's click on Bill's Windsurf Shop so that we can open that up. And then in the payment row, if you get any pop-ups like this, go ahead and click out of them. On the payment row, we're going to click View Edit. So if I scroll down here, here is that payment one. It is the second to last one that is showing right here. We want to click on View Edit. And then we want to uncheck the payment for invoice 1002. And then we want to click on the payment for 1038. This is the one that we just did. In the payment field, we want to type 175. So click into that, type 175. And now we can go ahead and save and close this. Go ahead and click on that green save and close button. It's going to ask if you want to save the transaction because you're getting this warning because it is linked to other transactions. This is because that bad check payment was linked to the original invoice, so we don't want them linked anymore. So yes, we want to go ahead and click on the yes button right here. And now that one has been saved. All right, so at this point, you will want to send the invoices. For the original invoice you are resending, it will be for the original amount of $175, which has not been paid yet. For the additional invoice, you are sending it for the first time. Since the bad check has been applied to this one, the total for the bank charge is $25 plus the handling fee, $20, is the total of $45. And you can send both of these easily. So we're going to click on the checkbox next to invoice 1002. So scroll over. Here is the checkbox and the original invoice, and then the additional one that we just created, this 1038. Click on that one. And then we're going to click on batch actions and click on send. So click that down arrow, go ahead and click on send. And there you go. Those two emails have been sent. Of course, in the sample company, it's not actually sending anything, but that would be the process to send that invoice, those invoices to Bill's Win Surf Shop. And that's it. That's how you would handle a bounce check. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. We're going to continue on, and if you want to join, be sure to leave this session of the sample company open, as you will need it for the last exercise in the cardio section, where we practice recording a bank deposit. And I will see you